So today is a special day. It is full moon in Sagittarius. My moon is in Sagittarius. But I'm also here to talk about rebirth. Because around this time, 3 years ago, this is my 3-year anniversary of my name change, which represents my greatest rebirth in life. So as you see, my background is lilies and lotus. And the lotus lily represents rebirth. But here's the trick. Scientifically, the lotus is actually a lily. But back in those times, they didn't, put no scientific names of it and stuff like that. So it still remains the lotus herbally. But scientifically, it is the water lily. But today I would like to talk about the connection between me and my sister, birth. The lotus has 16 petals. Well, my sister lived for 1 day and died on June 16th, which is coming up in a couple of days. She was born June 15th, right? So she's an ECMO baby, where when my mom was giving birth, my sister swallowed my mom's stool while in the uterus. So when she was delivered, she was dying of asphyxiation and ultimately died of asphyxiation. Lived for 24 hours. And so 11 years later, my mother has a new baby, a boy now. The same exact thing happened. Same exact thing. ECMO baby, swallowed my mom's stool, dying of asphyxiation. But I was flew from DC General to Children's Hospital to get surgery on my neck. And my neck tattoo is a scarab beetle that represents rebirth in Kemet, in Egypt. And that represents my sister, because I'm the rebirth of her in many ways. And yeah, the identical births, but I survived it. But she survived it as well, because she is me, I am her. Divine masculine, divine feminine. And I credit her spirit and her entity within me as to why I am how I am, such divine masculine and divine feminine, as in not the ways that the toxic masculinity identifies femininity with. I mean being emotionally intelligent, in tune with the spirit world. The woman is more spiritual than the man. The man is logic, the woman is spiritual. And I'm divine feminine in that way, in the spiritual realm. I understand the emotions. I'm emotionally intelligent. I understand all of that. And I nurture myself. I nurture others. I know how to nurture. That's woman stuff, right? So yeah, man, that is my near-death experience. My first day out. Chosen one. For real. So that is my story. That is part of my story with my awakening, and near-death experiences may be the #1 spiritual awakening trigger, along with heartbreak, divorces and stuff like that, and sicknesses. Yeah, so happy birthday to my sister, June 15th, and her rebirth day is June 16th. And El-Dumarè was created, not planned, like when El-Dumarè name chose me exactly this time of the year. And months later, I didn't realize, I'm like, hold up, that's my sister's birthday and death day. So divine masculine, divine feminine, El-Dumarè. And El-Dumarè, the supreme being of the Orishas, is an androgynous god. And African gods in general, the supreme beings, are androgynous figures, because you can't have a seed without divine masculine and divine feminine. That's balance, man. Every paragon is the ultimate balance of divine masculine and feminine. So Shiva and Shakti, Ausar and Auset, Osiris and Isis. I am both of them entities combined. So I am my sister. I love you. This is for my sister, rebirth. Water rose, lily, lotus. You know what was the final indication that made me realize I am the reincarnation of my sister? So, she was a Gemini in this lifetime, right? And in astrology, the South Node placement represents our past life karma, our past life energy that we have to escape. The past life baggage that we bring into this life. And my South Node is in Gemini. Meaning, I was Gemini in my past life. Can't make this shit up, man. That's my sister, man. My dead sister visited me in a dream to tell me a divine message. I've been having some dreams while I've been here. Some prophetic, spiritual, deep dreams. Something in connection with my sister. It's crazy, man. The divine feminine, the divine masculine, 50-50 within me. And my sister share same story without births. ECMO babies. She died at birth from a condition, and I survived it. The same thing. Where we swallowed our mom's stool as we were in the uterus when it's time for labor. And she died of asphyxiation. And I was dying of asphyxiation, but I was saved. So in the dream, it was like me and her, and she died, like she jumped out of the window, right? But then she came back to life, came to hug me, and I started to cry and stuff like that. So as soon as I woke up, 6:30 a.m., I wrote it down, and I knew what it represented already. So, and it was just like that day, I made a post on Instagram about the patriarchal society, you know, how they hate women, and the divine, the Kundalini rises, you know, raises the divine feminine and all of that. So that whole day was just for the women, man, for the goddesses, the high priestess. So yeah. Near-death experiences are one of the greatest triggers to a spiritual awakening. And since my experience was at birth, my chosen one journey is quite unique. I am my sister reincarnated in male form, 50-50, the Kundalini awakening. Let me talk about my connection with Pluto retrograde and dreams. So last night I had a dream where I saw actor, comedian Eddie Griffin at like a convention, and he was like selling cards or something, let's say tarot cards. And the themes were like emotions, consciousness. So of course I choose the card of consciousness. So he had a deck of cards, and I picked the card called the Raven. And it read at the top like said, often not as fly, something like that. Then I abruptly woke up, right? Then I woke up and I just thought like Pluto retrograde, right? Just randomly thought. And I didn't even know it was in retrograde right now. And it started like May 4th. So Pluto and the Raven both represents death and transformation. Also guardianship, protection, and abundance and things like that, resourcefulness. So I had a very prophetic trip to Denver. And on a full moon in Scorpio, I had a dream about a white snake. Then the next night, it was a dream of my sister who died in a dream. And she was reborn again, and we hugged and stuff like that. But you can check out the whole story. I told it in another video. And then so last night, the Raven dream. So ever since the Pluto retrograde, and I ain't have dreams in a minute, right? Before the ones in Denver on the full moon in Scorpio. So now my last one was the dream about the Raven. So the white snake, the dream about my sister's death and rebirth, and the Raven. All of that represents death and regeneration, rebirth, spiritual awakenings, abundance, resourcefulness, protection. And Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth. Through the astral realms, they talking to me, man. They talking. And the other dreams on the full moon in Scorpio, the trip in Denver, they was just straight. But the one with the Raven, I took my Blue Lotus last night. And so that was the only one off Blue Lotus. Cosmic consciousness, man. Pay attention to the signs. Pay attention to the signs. It came to a point in my journey in my mid-20s when I realized I was the reincarnation of my sister, based on my abnormal woman's intuition and understanding of emotions, and my passion for defending women because I understand them and the things they've been through. Then the connection between my sister and I having the same complications at birth, with her living for only 1 day, and 11 years later, I survived it. Being ECMO babies, meaning we both swallowed the stool of our mother while in the womb. My sister died from asphyxiation, and I could have died from asphyxiation, but I was flown in a helicopter to go to another hospital to get surgery on my neck, and I survived. Right before I went to Kemet, I got a tattoo of the scarab beetle, the Egyptian god Khepri, over my scar, which represents rebirth, and it represents the rebirth of my sister in a new version of my higher self. As the name chose me in the middle of June, around my sister's birthday, which is June 15th, that was the final indication of me being the rebirth of her in male form, as Shiva and Shakti energy combines, along with El-Dumarè being an androgynous god who possessed the divine masculine and divine feminine. My sister died on June 16th, and 16 has been my spiritual number since 2008. My grandmother died when I was 16 in 2008. 2 times 8, 16. And that's when I fell in love with writing 16s, aka rap verses. The lotus flower represents spiritual rebirth, and it has 16 petals. And in Egyptian mythology, the Egyptian god Nefertim was originally a blue lotus at the creation of the world, who had arisen from the primal waters. And there are more spiritual connections with 16. Welcome to Chombo.